Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here. Before we get into the main unboxing, I just want to know what you think of Kill Team Arena. By the end of this unboxing, you're going to know exactly what I think, and you're going to have seen almost everything that Kill Team Arena has to offer you as a competitive skirmish game. But first up, what do you think? Are you excited for it? By the end of this review, unboxing thing, have you changed your mind? Let me know in the comments below, because that's the kind of thing that YouTubers say. Yeah. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I don't know why. I don't offer good content, but maybe you hate yourself as much as I hate myself. Hello everybody, welcome to Glass Half Dead, and today we have Kill Team Arena. Isn't this exciting? Let's dive straight in. For those of you that don't know, Arena is competitive gaming, brought to Kill Team. I should probably say a few words before I open this. I am cautiously excited. As some of you may know, I quite like the idea of everybody playing on a level playing field, without any team having an advantage. And one of the ways that this happens, one of the ways that disadvantages can occur is through terrain placement. And the big idea for Arena to me is that you are building into the rule set symmetrical play, symmetrical boards, and that's one of the big things that Kill Team Arena is bringing. Symmetrical boards and a slightly pared down terrain experience. Let's take a look. First up, we have the terrain sprues. We've got two sprues and they are the same, so we're only going to take one. Now, for those of you that have watched my Rogue Trader unboxing, a lot of this is going to seem very, very similar. These pipes, for example, are identical. I believe the doors are actually different, and the crates actually come in different sizes, so you have small crates and you have long crates. And you didn't get the barrels, I believe. But generally, it's a very similar theme to what you got in Rogue Trader. As mentioned, they're just giving us simplified terrain. The book. We're going to go over the book soon, because this is kind of the whole review, isn't it? And then we get the boards. Now we get two boards. Obviously, they are both double-sided. We'll go into those soon. And we get two different decks of objectives, which very strangely are laid out like this. What you're actually supposed to do is, these are different. There's actually different ones in here. So this comes out, we see attrition at the top. This comes out and we see engage on all fronts. But there's two of each. So you get two attrition, and then you get two bounty hunters and two cut apart. You're supposed to separate the decks, and then one half goes into this, the other half goes into this. The intention being that, in theory, you only need one set of Kill Team Arena to be able to play a two-player game, which actually is quite nice. I like that they've done that for us. We also get a whole series of cards. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about Battle Brothers in this particular unboxing. Battle Brothers are for the games where you decide you want to play with two boards. That's the competitive, no, not competitive, cooperative version of the game. It's you and another person. So if you're just playing a standard game, one-on-one, you cannot use any of these Battle Brothers tactics. You'll notice they do come down to faction-specific as well. All Battle Brothers tactics. Now, they are interesting. However, I'm not going to cover them hugely in this review, mainly because I have never played a cooperative game or a multiplayer game. I've only ever played one-on-one, so I don't actually know how much these would affect things or anything like that. I can't really speak to it. And then we have the missions. Now, these are just a card version of the missions that we get in here, which is nice of them to do. I suppose one of the things that you can do with this is, instead of rolling a dice to see which mission you pick, shuffle them. I don't know. I will probably never take these out of the cellophane because I will just roll on the rulebook. But it's nice to have them, I suppose. Okay, let's dive in a little bit. You might be wondering, but hey, Glass, we haven't looked at the objectives yet. Well, again, that's because they are all in the book. So we don't actually need those to cover it for this. The boards. The boards are actually very important in this because the entire expansion is, of course, themed around competitive play, etc., etc. I've just said it all. Given any other kill team board, you potentially have an infinite number of variations because, of course, you are putting down your own terrain on it, and you can put that terrain anywhere on the board. However, when it comes to Kill Team Arena, the boards are set. You can never move this wall here or any of these walls. All of the terrain is supposed to go exactly where it's supposed to go. So this map right here will always be the same. Okay, let's discuss the boards themselves. This one I actually think is quite boring. I think this is the Catacombs. I'm not 100% sure. But it doesn't inspire much in me in regards to how it looks like visually. It's grey. It's grey. I mean, I haven't counted, but there's probably 50 shades of grey on this bad boy. Oh, bad boy, yeah. There are spent shell casings. Very exciting. This bores me. Okay, great. Now let's take another quick look at the board, ignoring the graphics. Firstly, we have these 3 entry points up here. They could potentially lead to another board. That's part of the whole Battle Brothers thing, and you can play on multiple boards if you want. That idea does entice me somewhat. Also, looking at the board, we see that down the center line, there and there, no, down the center line there, okay, hold on. It's symmetrical somewhere. I'm struggling, as you can tell. Basically, it's symmetrical there, but then flipped. So this little room here goes up to there instead of there. I've got to say, a little bit of bias, I'm actually quite all for a nice little asymmetrical gameplay. I like this. This is a positive thing for me. Not this board. This board is boring. But yeah. So let's turn it to the other side. Okay. It kind of seems like the ends are laid out identically. Yeah, pretty much. So you've got a longer hall and then a short room. And then you've got a longer hall and a short room. So that's a little bit uninspired, but fair enough. However, this bit in the centre is completely different. And actually, this looks very interesting to me. So you're going to be funneling out of here or here. You've instantly got corridors set up. Diagonally, you're probably blocked. Even though there are obviously these bits that you can run through. If you're here, you cannot see there. So moving your guys around to try and get a line of sight is actually going to be very interesting on this board. I much prefer this one to the previous side. And now we have this side. Again, this one's boring me. I guess because a little bit of introspection here. I guess boards that are kind of dark bore me. I would like more colour to this. I mean, even these little bits of tree, if you had just made them a brighter, more vibrant green, obviously that would have gone against the look of the board, but suddenly there would be things to kind of draw my eye to. As it is, it's just a bit grey and boring. But whatever. Gameplay perspective on this one. I like having a big room in the middle. That's interesting. Then you've got the corridors down the sides. Again, I'm hoping to get a few games in on each board before I next talk about Kill Team Arena. And I'll pass on my thoughts on each board in that, once I actually know what I'm talking about a bit. This really is just first impressions. Gameplay-wise, looks fun. Thematically, looks like arse. Okay, so true to word, this board really does look the most interesting to me, and I like this board the most visually. Visually, it's very interesting. There's a lot of stuff that's drawing my eyes purely because of these orangey vents. Yeah. Also, with that said, just the tiles themselves are brighter. I like what I'm saying here. 2 thumbs up. That said, gameplay-wise, this one looks possibly less interesting to me. I'm not sure, but it just kind of looks like, okay, well, we've got a line of fire here, and a line of fire here, and then, I don't know, and then stuff in the middle. Maybe that's not how it's going to play out. Once we've got the doors in place, there'll be a door there, door there, door there, door there, door there, door there, etc. And obviously once we have objectives placed, because I don't know where the objectives go on these maps yet. But maybe suddenly that will bring it to life to me. But, as it stands right now, gameplay-wise, this one looks kind of boring. But that's fine. Let's keep going. A final note about the boards, before I move on to the rules, actually, is... Don't get me wrong, these are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. However, kind of getting bored of having to carry around cardboard. Can GW please release some mousepad material mats like you can get from every third-party vendor that exists? Don't get me wrong, they don't have to be released in the box set. They can be an aside. They can be a premium product that you pay extra for. And they can be identical, an identical print. But just, I want the option. Anyway, let's look at the rules. Okay, I've already had a quick read through here. And I'm not going to go over everything because I haven't played it yet. So I don't, I'm not 100% sure on how it's actually going to play. But let's take a look through. First things first, this Ultra Close Confines is exactly the same as the Rogue Trader board. However, I actually quite like how this works. I like how Obscured works, as it's now relevant to the base size as well. That's interesting. Doors, cool. It's good that they're set up properly. Visibility, measuring. You have to go around walls. You can't measure through any of the red lines that exist. And, of course, now every team gets point-blank Overwatch, which I will point out they haven't given us a card for. I assume because there's too much text to fit on a card, but it would be nice to have a card. That's all I'm saying. They have a card for all the Battle Brothers stuff. Why not for point-blank Overwatch, guys? Come on. For anyone that wants to know how doors work, firstly, only infantry, which at the moment I believe still means that it's only the Gellerpox that have some swarm models that can't use it. Basically, I'm going to read it. An infantry model can open a closed door or close an open door if it either starts the movement phase within 1 inch of that door's doorway and remains stationary that phase, or if it ends a normal move within 1 inch of a doorway and there are no enemy models within 1 inch of that doorway. A model cannot open or close a door if it is shaken, readied, or within 1 inch of an enemy model. If there are any enemy models other than shaken models within 1 inch of the doorway of the door the model is trying to open or close, one can attempt to stop the door from being operated. If one does, the controlling player controlling the model trying to prevent the operation rolls a d6. On a 5-up, they choose whether or not the door remains closed or open. So there you go. Basically, you can move the door when you stop next to it. Or if you start next to it, you can open it, but then you can't do anything else. Which seems weird, but it's fine. The way this is set out here is how it has to be set out every time you play, assuming that you're playing competitive, etc., etc. There is an environment table. The first thing to note about the environment table is that when you are actually playing a match play tournament game, it specifically says do not use the environment table. you only use the environment table if you are not playing, or well, I suppose, you know, if you and your opponent decide to use it, but you only use it when you want to, which is weird, I feel, but whatever. Same thing here again. Has to be set up this way. Do not use the environment table. And again, set it up this way. Do not use the environment table. And a big shocker, set it up this way. Do not use the environment table. A quick note to this. Looking at it like this, it looks really boring to me. Like, you know, there's none of the verticality of Kill Team that we normally get. The terrain looks meh. However, a quick note. When I was looking at the boards look good. I like the boards. However, they did at times look a little bit sparse. I was like, oh, that's a big corridor that's going to hurt. This terrain, I believe, is there purely for a gameplay, for enhancing the gameplay in a competitive way, not to make it look better. If you view it that way, then actually I think the terrain does add a lot to the game. It doesn't look very interesting, but that's fine. Whatever. Competitive play. And of course they use tower breachers because, yeah. Actually, they don't. They don't. Look at these. Look at this. There are no breachers on this map. They are all fire warriors with carbines. Breachers can't even get a break in the goddamn books. Come on, G-dubs. Kill teams, mustering. You muster it exactly the same as you already know how to muster it. 3 to 20 models, 100 points, has to include a leader, all the usual stuff. The battlefield. When playing competitive play mission, do not use the environment table for the kill zone you are using. These tables are meant for use when playing other kill team missions in those kill zones. Fine. Now this is an interesting bit. Terrain features in competitive play. Basically, this is how you have to arrange your terrain. So as we see, we get the small boxes here, and then we have two different configurations for the longer boxes, and the barrels have to be set up in that way. If we go back and look at the, you see they are all set up exactly as that. So they really are removing all variation from the game, which, when you consider the entire point of this expansion, is a good thing. It's a good thing. Arena objectives. You get a whole bunch of so these are called arena objectives now. For anybody that paid attention during Nova or the Warhammer World Tournaments, these were called secondary objectives. Now they're arena objectives. Basically, you can pick up to, is it 3? I'm going to say 3. And then when you play a mission, it will say under arena objectives, in bold here, you can pick up from these. So cut apart, death from afar, domination, engage on all fronts, scout the field. You can pick 3 of them. And you go back, you say cut apart. Okay, at the end of the fight phase, score 1 victory point if one or more models from your kill team made an attack that took an enemy out of action that phase. Sounds good, I'll select that. And then basically what you do is you select them in secret. So you take them and you put them face down so that your opponent doesn't know what they are. And then when you complete that objective, when you score it, you score it you score the objective as soon as you have completed the task. You flip it over, so you'd flip that over, and from that point on, your opponent would then know that with cut apart, you get a victory point every time you kill one of his models, and so presumably he can then say, oh well, I don't want you to get a point, so actually I'm gonna hide a little bit. Who knows? That's the idea, I think. Here are all of the objectives. I quite like the idea of the secondary objectives. Once I've really got a feel for what they all are and which missions they should be played on, I think it's just another nice little addition to the complexity of building a kill team, which in this instance I mean in a positive way. At the moment, you know, it's been 6 months, I think, 5-6 months. A meta has developed. We know what the best kill teams are, effectively, and we know what the worst missions are. You know, nobody likes take prisoners really, and nobody likes terror tactics. Using these, we now have new things to go for. And even if you then pull up a mission you don't like, on a map you don't like for your kill team, you can say, okay, well, you know what, my roster sucks at this map, but I know that I can score these arena objectives reliably on this map. And so it just gives you another way of playing the game. Or, well, playing to win the game, obviously. Oh, one thing to also note is all of the missions now automatically end at the end of battle round 4, which is interesting. The way all of the terrain's set out, we see, here and here, that nothing can happen on the first turn, really. Your first turn is almost purely going to be movement. So turn 1 is moving, and it only goes to turn 4, so you really only have 3 turns of combat, which isn't a lot, actually. But that's interesting. I would argue it would make shooting teams less effective. So Tau, going to be nerfed a little bit. That's fine. Equally, if you go quite heavy into AdMech on the Ranger side, going to be nerfed a little bit, but just purely because you don't have as much time to get your kills in. Although, please note that I believe, having looked through all of this, I don't think kill points actually matter on any of them. So taking out an enemy doesn't matter. The other thing to note about arena objectives before we move on is that you pick 3, and then you can only ever score a maximum of 3 victory points per arena objective. So let's take cut apart again. Let's say I manage to complete this objective 4 times, so I do it every single turn. Obviously, counting it up, I should get 4 victory points, but the limit's 3, so even if I continually complete this, I only can max out at 3, and that's not per turn, that's for the entire battle. And that's it. Okay, then we get the missions. How do we feel about the missions? I like them, I think. So obviously, first things, the map, we get told, you know, very clearly where everything's supposed to go. We also get our objective points, objective markers, sorry. Those are where we have to run to. This particular map has quite an interesting little thing. So you get the standard, this is the standard, if you control 1 or more objective markers, you get 1 victory point. If you control 2 or more, you get 2. If you control more than your opponent, you get 3 for that turn. And also note, a player cannot score more than 9 victory points for the victory condition in this mission. So if somehow magically you manage to control, you manage to get all 3 of these, all 4 turns, doesn't matter, you're only getting 3 turns worth. Also note, do not resolve the scouting phase in this mission. There you go. Now also note, on this particular map, although you get the standard victory conditions here, it also has an additional one outside of even just the arena objectives, which is activate engines. If you begin the turn within 1 inch, oh no, sorry, not within 1 inch. What's the word? Controlling 1 or more objective markers. You can use activate engines, which basically means you can opt for one of your models to, instead of do anything that turn, you can say this model is capturing the objective, or well, actually is activating the engine, sorry, which just means that the model can't do anything at all that turn, anything at all, but you do get 1 victory point. Cool. That's just a nice little interesting thing. So if you have a guy back here that, you know, nobody's coming towards him, you can just do that every turn for another victory point. Now here we see it's a little bit different. There are no objective markers. Instead, we have little objective hallways. By having a model in that objective hallway, I'm sure there's an actual word for it. Terminal corridor. There you go. You get a victory point. As we see here, at the end of the battle round, a player scores 1 victory point if they control any terminal corridors. And controlling it is exactly what you think, more models in there. There's also Vent Reactor. Now this is fun. At the end of the battle round, Score 1 victory point if there are any specialists from your kill team, other than shaken models, wholly within any terminal corridors that you control. At the end of the battle, the player with the most victory points. Yep. So that's just another interesting thing. If you have a specialist in one of them, instead of running around doing crazy things, you get another victory point. And it goes on like this. I'm not going to cover all of them, but obviously, you know, HD camera. Feel free to pause, zoom in. They all have a slightly different thing happening here, which is nice. They all have slightly different deployment zones. You see that one is the entire bit. That's one side. Then you get a little L shape. Now that looks scary as balls, doesn't it? Very interesting. So you are completely open to the other player. That's going to be interesting. You get one veteran specialist. You're getting a first turn charge there, I'd guess. But obviously the actual objectives are nowhere near the other models, so you kind of want to... Yeah, it's interesting. Again, here you're deploying along the entire thing. But then, who knows? Who knows? Without playing them, I can't really say. And now we go back to the first map again, where we are only deploying in a tiny little corner. Is that the first map? I don't think that is. I think I'm talking bollocks. That isn't the first map at all. You're deploying in a corner room, but it's a different map. Again, just different layouts. So each map, I believe, yeah. So each side of the map has two different layouts for it. So for example, this one, you have the one with the vents, you have interlopers, and then you also have hold the terminals. Two completely different ways to play the same map. With the catacombs, you have that way or that way. Interesting. Cool. And that's about it. As I said, there's a whole load of things at the back here. These are all the Battle Brothers things. I'm not going to cut, and there are more missions. These are the Battle Brother missions. So if you're into co-op play, I think this is actually giving you quite a lot of coolness. There's also the Kill Team Tournament rules, which I haven't read yet. So I'm actually going to read myself and then get back to you guys. The reason for that is because I suspect for a lot of you this won't be of interest. Wanting to know how to set up a Kill Team tournament is pretty niche, I feel. That is Kill Team Arena. Price. This cost me £49.50. Comparatively, Star's Disciples was £36. Comparatively, the new Killzone Sector Frontieris was £45. So for an extra £4.50, you get less terrain, but you get another board. But you get the rulebook. Realistically, the only reason to buy Kill Team Arena, if the idea of symmetrical gameplay is exciting for you. If you're not excited about playing on these boards, I do not think Kill Team Arena is worth it. And really, that's the bottom line. I am excited for it. There you go. I think that's easy enough and obvious enough to say. I like the idea of everything being symmetrical, fair, etc. And so at the end of the game, you know that if you won, you were both put in as fair a position as possible. Now, obviously, as with all things, if this does pick up and become the way that everybody plays the game, a new meta is going to sort itself out, and you're never making a game 100% balanced, you are just changing it. But that's fine. As much as I might gripe about Death Guard clearly being the best team, that's fine. One team has to be the best. This way, it might be another team. It won't. It's still going to be Death Guard because they're really good. However, it's interesting. There you go. Okay, so this has been quite a long unboxing, and those are my final thoughts on Kill Team Arena. I hope you've all had a great day, and I hope you continue to have a great day. I am Glass Half Dead. Goodbye.